Hi there. If you've clicked on this video, you want to know why I believe that Transformers, the animated movie, is possibly the greatest animated movie of all time. For those of you that don't know, the film came out in August 1986. It is now the 40th anniversary of the film. It's about to be re-released in theaters in September. I know there's a lot of fans like myself that are very excited to go and see this movie. If you love the film, go see the movie. If you've never seen the film, go see the movie. It's not going to disappoint. Now, why do I believe that this is the best animated feature film of all time? Here we go. So right out of the gate, Unicron. So the film starts with an entire planet that we've never seen before in the entire series, never seen this planet. It gets eaten by another planet. Later in the movie, we discover that this planet is also a transforming robot. So we're now getting introduced to a transformer that's like, we've never seen anything this big. We've seen combiners, we've seen giants like Omega Supreme. We haven't seen anything this big. Now we know Transformers can be as big as a planet. It's unbelievable. So incredible opening to this film. Okay, one of the next amazing things about this film was the brave decision that Hasbro made to kill the leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime and Megatron battle it out, and Megatron barely makes it out of this battle alive. Optimus Prime is killed. And not only Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, but a huge number of other Autobots, part of the original lineup from the series that you've been watching for years now, they also die in this battle. It was one of the most shocking things to see, and definitely made the movie feel like a level up from the animated TV show. Next up, new characters. In the film, suddenly you're introduced to a ton of new characters. You got Hot Rod, you got Springer, you got Cup, you got RC, you got Ultra Magnus and Blur, along with a number of other characters that get introduced later in the film. Suddenly, there's a ton of new Transformers within the world of Transformers. Considering this is the first time you have ever been introduced to these characters, you know, you've seen all the shows that had all the characters that just got killed. Now suddenly you're introduced to all these new characters, and they did an incredible job of this. You know, it literally, you're just thrown into a film where you're supposed to just know that some amount of time has passed, and for some reason these Transformers have ended up on Earth now with the originals, and it works perfectly. You immediately know who's sort of the leader stereotype, and who's the storyteller, and who's the soldier, and who's the sort of comedic character. And, each one of them is done so well, which is why we're still talking about all of them today. Voice acting. Okay, so all the original voice actors from the film, or from the show, are in the movie, which is incredible. So you got Peter Cullen, you got Frank Welker, Scatman Crothers, Dan Gilvezan, Casey Kasem, and of course Chris Latta. So you got all the originals doing all the voices, which is awesome. But then they level it up for the movie and add a whole bunch of celebrity voices. So you got Judd Nelson, you got Leonard Nimoy, Susan Blue, Eric Idle, Lionel Stander, Robert Stack, and of course the legendary Orson Welles, which I believe sadly was his last performance. But what a way to go out doing the voice of a planet-eating planet robot. And again, a character that we still talk about to this day. Next, the soundtrack. The music for this movie is out of this world. So Vince DiCola, did the score, and it's incredible. Everything's perfect for the setting the tone of the film. On top of that, you get a bunch of hits. Stan Bush delivered The Touch and Dare. Weird Al Yankovic's Dare to Be Stupid is in the movie, which is like, if you've got a Weird Al song in your movie, you know it's going to be a hit. And then as well as a whole bunch of other metal bands that deliver just an unbelievably kick-ass movie soundtrack that 40 years later, I feel like it's even more popular now than it was when it first came out. One of the other amazing things about this film, as if there wasn't enough, was the introduction of new planets. So in the series, it was largely Earth and Cybertron. The Transformers had crashed on Earth. They were trying to get back to Cybertron. They needed Energon to get there. And so the whole show was the conflict of Decepticons versus Autobots trying to get back to Cybertron to, bring peace to their planet that's in turmoil. And you really had no sort of sense of a greater universe beyond that. In the movie, suddenly you go, oh, okay, wow, they're traveling all over the universe and they're on new planets. And it really opened up a whole new sort of level to the show when it went back into the third season, because suddenly now they're hopping planet to planet, and that was a totally normal thing. Also, new characters were suddenly there, and you didn't question it anymore because you knew that, Autobots and Decepticons are all over the universe on different planets and interacting with different aliens and people on different worlds. And so that became a normal thing. So all of a sudden, story building became like sort of next level. It went from Earth and Cybertron to a whole universe. Huge risks were taken on this film. So the movie was, without question, entirely for the fans. So if you had seen this movie and not watched the show, you would probably have no idea what was happening in this film. I don't think any of the fans have ever forgotten that, which is why we're still so in love with this film. We had made the investment to watch all those shows and try and collect all those toys. And, and then to end up in the movie theater and suddenly, see the direct continuation of that rather than some sort of re-explanation of what we had just watched. I don't know a lot of films that take that risk. And unfortunately, it was a big risk because I think the film flopped when it went to the theater originally. But look at it now, 40 years later, as all sort of mega hit cult classic films are, they're timeless. And so here we are still talking about it all these years later. Okay, another great thing about this film, new leadership. So in moving all the new characters into the film, suddenly there needed to be a new prime. And so that new prime was Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime. And I know that, there's sort of a lot of fan frustration for how that all came to be. I've recently rewatched the third season of Transformers, and I have to say, it's really strong. I actually appreciate that a new leader came in that was unsure of himself and sort of needed support from his other Transformers. And he had the benefit of Ultra Magnus there, who we all thought was going to get the Matrix of Leadership, but didn't, being this sort of wise, safe pair of hands for him to help him become the leader they all want him to be, at least until they can bridge the gap and figure out how to get Prime back via the Optimus Prime instead of continuing on with Rodimus. But interesting concept, and it certainly made for some amazing characters and toy designs. Okay, lastly, I want to tell you a quick little story about my father. Shout out to my dad. He may be the only one watching this video right now. He did not want to take me to this movie, and instead he handed me a local newspaper at the time that had a contest where you could win tickets to see Transformers the movie. And he said, if you win tickets, then I'll take you. That's how you can go. And of course, here I am 40 years later. I saw that movie. So I won. And it meant that myself and a whole bunch of kids from the neighborhood all got to get tickets for this thing. I can remember the feeling of getting the call from the local newspaper and hearing that I'd won, how awesome that was. I remember feeling like a hero when we all loaded into the minivan and all got to go because I'd won the tickets. And I remember seeing the movie and I remember my dad being there with us, of course, which was an amazing experience. But also, I just want to say how amazing it would have been for him, because he probably had no concept of what was happening in that film, as he had only sort of known what Transformers was from whatever I told him or figures I showed him. So shout out to my dad for being a hero, loading up the minivan, taking everybody to the movie, and definitely taking me to an experience that stuck with me all these years and led to me probably becoming, an animator and joining the animation industry. So thanks, Dad. Hey, if you're enjoying this content at all, like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much. It's a lot of fun to put these together. And if you're liking what you see, please leave me a message in the comments. Thanks so much. Till all are one.